y'all, Violet here, second generation homeschooling mom of 3. I have a 9-year-old, a 6-year-old, and a toddler. Today I wanted to share a comparison of several different history encyclopedias, so let's get into it. This first encyclopedia is the Usborne World History Encyclopedia. This is the 2025 edition, although I don't think it changes a ton from year to year. I think it's mostly like typos that they update, it seems like. So this one actually starts with prehistory. It has a lot of information about dinosaurs, prehistoric animals, things like that, before it finally starts to get into what we generally consider the beginning of history. As you can see, this is all illustrated. There's not a ton on each page. This is definitely geared towards more elementary level, I would say. You can go on their website and find internet links that correspond to these pages. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So what I was looking for when I was looking for an encyclopedia was something that would supplement our history curriculum really well. So I wanted something with a lot of visuals. This one also ends in 2000 and they haven't added anything past that. So these illustrations are fine. Like I don't have any problem with them, but I was looking more for actual photographs of artifacts in addition to illustrations. And this has a few, but not a ton. The other issue that I have with this encyclopedia, and this is true of a lot of encyclopedias, is that they are inherently Eurocentric. The topics that they choose and the things that they focus on, the number of pages that they devote to European countries and European topics is greater than the number of pages they devote to other areas of the world. And I was looking for an encyclopedia that did not do that as much as possible. There's an Indigenous educator, Kelly Reagan Tudor, who did a very thorough review of this specific encyclopedia. It was a slightly older edition, but again, I don't think a ton has changed. And so I'll link that down below if you're interested, but she breaks down in a very detailed manner everything that is Eurocentric or inaccurate with this encyclopedia from an Indigenous perspective. And I found that article really, really helpful to kind of keep all those points in the back of my mind when I was looking at these encyclopedias. Everything from how the topics are weighted to how do they discuss Indigenous cultures? Do they always use crafts instead of art when they're talking about their painting and things like that? So this encyclopedia, definitely not what I was looking for. This next encyclopedia is the Kingfisher History Encyclopedia, and this is very similar to the Usborne Encyclopedia, honestly. I do think it's geared towards a slightly older level just because there's more information on each page, and I actually like the illustration style of this one slightly better, but again, mostly illustrated, not a ton of artifacts, a lot of the same issues with being Eurocentric. One of the other things that's frequently an issue is encyclopedias like this won't mention, and history resources as well, won't mention modern day Indigenous peoples. They will behave as if Indigenous cultures don't exist anymore. Frequently, the last mention that you'll see of specifically Native Americans is westward expansion, and that was true for pretty much all of these encyclopedias. No mentions of Native Americans after westward expansion, which is disappointing. So this one extends closer to now, 2000 to present, and this section it feels like they've updated more recently. The medical section has a little blurb about COVID. There are some other things in here that I noticed were updated. This is the 2023 edition of this encyclopedia. So yeah, again, not quite what I was looking for. This next reference book is Our World in Pictures, and this is not intended to be a history encyclopedia so much as just a bunch of pictures of artifacts, and I was thinking maybe that would be kind of more what I was looking for to supplement our history, but this does have tons of pictures. The way it's laid out ends up feeling very fragmented to me. I find it kind of visually overwhelming, and yeah, I just didn't like it as much as some of the other resources that I looked at. But if this is a style that really appeals to your child, this is definitely a good resource to check out. There are a bunch of different books in the Our World in Pictures series. In general, that the very scattered visual style just doesn't work well for our family. Next, also from DK Smithsonian, History, the Past as You've Never Seen It Before. And this is also geared towards elementary students. I do like the amount of pictures it has. It is interspersed with kind of computer-generated imagery. I don't love the computer-generated images. I prefer the illustrations or just more pictures of artifacts. But yeah, again, this is also kind of a bit scattered in places, but I do appreciate that they have maps interspersed. And it goes, this is a little bit older edition, so it doesn't quite go all the way up to the present. I'm not sure if there's a newer one, but this is the 2019 edition. So This next book, this is definitely geared towards older kids. So this is Smithsonian History from the Dawn of Civilization to the Present Age. And this one's from 2015, but this is definitely a lot more text heavy. This is definitely for older kids. And again, it has some of the Eurocentric issues that I mentioned before, like there's no mention of present day Native Americans or any indication that they exist past westward expansion. But in general, I do like the layout of this. I think if I were looking for an encyclopedia for an older kid, this would be my first choice. This also has in the back, I thought this was really cool, national histories. So it's got timelines for 195 countries, walking you through important dates in those countries' histories. So I thought that was really neat. I haven't seen something like this in any of the other encyclopedias I've looked at. And then there's an index as well. Something I forgot to mention about the Kingfisher Encyclopedia Index is that it was really difficult to use, and that feels kind of nitpicky, but I was actually getting really frustrated when I was looking up a couple of stuff in there. I'm just going to show you because it's just like walls of text, and they do have the letter at the top of each column, but it's not bold. It's not like in this one, it's bigger. It's very easy to find where you are in the alphabet, and this one's just a lot more of a wall of text. I kept getting lost in here when I was looking for things. So yeah. But yeah, this isn't quite what I was looking for just because my kids are not this age yet, and I was still hoping for something a little bit less Eurocentric, maybe. And the encyclopedia that I ended up getting is this next one, the Explanatorium of History. And this is geared towards elementary students as well. And of all the encyclopedias that I looked at, it is the least Eurocentric. It talks about people coming and colonizing the US instead of settling. It has a decent number of pictures of artifacts. It's still a little bit scattered, kind of just that DK style, but it's a little bit less scattered than some of the other DK books. Like, it's been okay for us to read these. The blocks of text are big enough that it's not too overwhelming. And I feel like the depth at which they discuss each of these topics is a good amount for piquing my kids' curiosity, especially with the ages that they're at. I don't think they need more information in an encyclopedia at this age, especially because we are just using it as a supplement to our regular history curriculum, and so they're getting a lot of the information from that. I was more looking for something that we could add the visuals to our history, and also if they're flipping through it, it could make them curious about other historical events, and I feel like this is a good level of detail for both of those things. This one also on their westward expansion page focuses more on the Native Americans being pushed out of their homelands than the colonizers coming in and taking everything, which is more of the perspective of a lot of the other encyclopedias. And it also has a little inset here with a modern day Indigenous person, and it talks about how this person is from the Lakota Nation. So again, I would have liked to see more Native American history sprinkled throughout more of the modern history stuff, but this is way better than any of the other encyclopedias that I look at. It also has this forced resettlement map that shows you the historic indigenous land is the entirety of the United States, and then the orange sections are currently the tribal nations. So yeah, I've been really pleased with this encyclopedia, and my daughters enjoyed reading it as well. Yeah, so this one also goes all the way up to COVID. That's the very last section in here. So it is a little bit more updated as well. This one was published in 2021. So yeah, this is the one that we ended up buying. Of all the encyclopedias that I looked at, it was by far my favorite. And I've liked the other books in that Explanatorium series as well. We own the science one and the nature one. The last book that I have to show you is not encyclopedia, but I just thought it was a cool history reference book, so I thought I'd throw it in here. This is Timelines of Everything, and there are several different timelines books, like they have Timelines of Black History and a few others as well. But this is really just timelines of things. And so this is not a way that my kids learn. I don't think this book would really add much to our homeschool. I just don't think my kids would get a lot out of it. But I think this is a really cool book. So if this is something that your kids would like or get a lot out of, it's a really cool resource to have. So yeah, that's all I have to share today. I hope you found that helpful. I will link everything in the description box below. I am an Amazon and Bookshop affiliate, so if you click on one of those links and make a purchase, I do receive a small commission. Thank you for watching.